In-Laws in Crime. I'm Ashley.
I am Megan. This is In-Laws in Crime.
And it's Valentine's weekend.
And happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I am Valentine's up. Ashley is not.
I am not.
I had school parties today, so I had to dress on theme. So,
do you have any plans for Valentine's?
I think we're going to go, for anybody who's local, we go to Circle M. We like to go to Circle M, the crawfish place.
Mm-hmm.
I think we may go do lunch there, but I'm not sure yet.
Fun.
Yeah. So, you?
We never celebrate Valentine's.
Mm-hmm.
Our dating anniversary is February 11th. So we just go out February 11th to avoid the crowd.
I know.
So we did go. I will say we went to Three Palms. If you haven't been.
No.
Amazing.
No, but I have heard.
It was so good.
And
so
everybody,
good.
let's just take a minute. I don't know if the camera's catching it. Ashley is half demon in her left eye right now.
I scratched it at my anniversary dinner.
Yes.
And Jacob was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Your eye is like getting really red." And so, yeah, I pulled out my phone, looked at myself, and I was like,
okay?
"Oh my God.
Are you okay? You're turning into a vampire before my eyes."
Yeah, it's awful. Yeah, I look terrible. So
sorry to interrupt you.
No, I mean, let's address it. Let's address the bloody eye in the room.
Get it out there.
But yeah, no, we went to Three Palms and it was delicious. We had a great time.
Nice. I have heard of Three Palms and that I should go, and I have not yet.
Let me tell you. And when I made our reservation, I told them that it was our anniversary. They just like, we're having an anniversary dinner. They printed us a special menu. And it said, "Happy anniversary to the Russos. We're so glad you're celebrating with us." And then they let me keep the menu. So they have like these big digital menus. So like the paper slides in, and when you open it, it lights up.
How cool is that?
And that was fun. Anyway, so I got to keep the menu. And then they did a handwritten thank you note.
Jeez.
To us. Yeah, not a printed one. A handwritten thank you note for us coming in and spending our anniversary with them.
And that's called customer service.
I know.
We don't see that often anymore.
No.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good.
It was a good time.
Well, I do have 2 crime files for us to discuss today. One of them is in Lufkin, and I wasn't aware that, back to geography, wasn't aware that Lufkin's part of East Texas. So there's that.
I love that.
But I'm going to start with the most important in my view. And I've already told Ashley this. Freaking Kurt Cobain.
Oh, yeah.
Of Nirvana, who I love. I've always loved Nirvana. Always been a big Kurt Cobain fan. I guess a study was done of his death, because there's been like a lot of if you're a Kurt Cobain fan, you know, a lot of people think that he didn't commit suicide. And so I guess like some people got together, some doctors and professors and stuff, and studied it, and they might be changing his death from a suicide to a homicide. And because originally it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And this was back in 94. And it was a Remington 20 gauge shotgun. And then there was a suicide note and a heroin kit at when they found him.
How do you shoot yourself with a shotgun?
Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah.
But now it's an unofficial private sector team of forensic scientists who did this on the Kurt Cobain case. And Michelle Wilkins and forensic specialist Brian Burnett, published a paper about it. Within it, the physical evidence, the autopsy records showed organ damage, necrosis of the brain and liver, and that's consistent with oxygen deprivation from a heroin overdose, which they argued would occurred before a gunshot wound. He would be able to be killed by a gunshot. So they saw that, and that happens when you're still alive, that necrosis of the brain and the liver. So with that, they knew how incapacitated he was from heroin at the time of this gunshot wound. Their argument is with the high levels of heroin in Cobain's system, would have rendered him physically incapable of even operating a shotgun.
Wow.
And then they argue that the scene was staged. It was eerily clean, they said. And the needles from the heroin were found capped and neatly put away. An unlikely action for somebody actively dying from a heroin overdose. They're not just going to recap the...
Right.
Because I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with heroin, but the only reason I am is because of...
Megan is 2 years sober.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Not true. Just kidding.
No. But what's that? Breaking Bad.
Oh, yes.
And the show Cops. And obviously our father-in-law and my dad have talked about heroin before. Are people that are... And right when you inject yourself with heroin, goodbye.
Okay.
Nobody's home. So...
okay.
And then to have to overdose on it, I mean, you're basically out like a light. Anyways, so there's that, which is pretty big news in my world because I loved Kurt Cobain. So anyways, there's that. This one is out of Lufkin. Everybody hold on to your butts because all the mamas that are about to hear this are about to be like, what the freak? An Angelina County judge has sentenced a Zavala County woman who forcibly tattooed her young children to 3 years. Sentenced her to only 3 years in prison. Listen, Megan Farr pleaded guilty in April to unlawfully restraining and injury to a child. She received 3 concurrent sentences. At that time, for elected to have Judge Todd Cawshaw, I don't know how to pronounce that, decided her punishment rather than a jury. Cawshaw sentenced her to 2 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for unlawful restraint and 3 years for injury to a child. The sentences will run concurrently. So, according to the Angela County District Attorney, the crime happened in April 2023. Farr tied the hands and feet and duct taped the mouths and covered the face of a 5-year-old child who was resisting being tattooed by Farr's husband.
I'm sorry.
A 9-year-old child was also tattooed. Teachers discovered the tattoo on the 5-year-old's foot when she complained of foot pain. The 9-year-old's tattoo was discovered shortly after. Farr was alerted that the tattoos had been discovered, and she attempted to rid the children of the tattoos using a solution of lime juice, salt, and vinegar combined with scrubbing the tattoos with a Brillo pad.
Oh my God.
It gets worse. The wounds from the attempted removal were discovered and reported. On a later day, it was observed that the 5-year-old's tattoo had been removed by removing the flesh from her foot.
Oh my God. Okay, you got to stop. We got to cover this one on the pod.
Is that not insane?
What the... I'm sorry, Mima, I almost did it. I caught myself.
During the investigation, according to the DA's office, Farr denied the children having tattoos and told investigators it was just a pin. I almost said a really bad word. She concealed the 9-year-old child from law enforcement, removed the children from school, and convinced a 17-year-old, I don't know where this 17-year-old came from, convinced a 17-year-old to lie to law enforcement regarding the wound on the 5-year-old's foot from removal of the tattoo.
And they got 3 years in prison for this? Like, that's not enough. Something is wrong with you. What is wrong with you?
So then I guess before sentencing, she addressed the court directly and her children. Those poor babies were in there in a letter, and she read it out loud. At one point saying, quote, "I wanted to be a good mother. I would do anything to undo the harm that I've made." And she also added, quote, "I love you beyond anything in this world, and I failed to be your safe place." I would say so. I would say so. Is that not sickening?
Can we put a cork in her so she can't have any more?
It's so like just against nature.
Your children are traumatized.
I know.
You bound them and then
tied their hands and feet and duct taped their mouths
because you're hurting them.
So you're
husband
POS husband could
do some sort of prison
foot?
tattoo. Well, I can't. All right, let's move on. I'm gonna
so disgusting. I
spiral.
do have a farm file.
Let's hear the farm file.
That. I know we're going on a little bit of a banter right now,
today.
but this is, hey, you clicked on this. So farm file, I wake up, this was day before yesterday. I wake up, I'm having my coffee in the morning, doing my little Bible study that I like to do. And my husband's sitting on the couch beside me. And all of a sudden we hear just a ruckus coming from our garage.
Ooh.
And so I'm like, oh, those dang cats. Because we have 2 outdoor cats that live in our garage. And I go out there and they have one of my quail. She is alive.
How did they get your quail?
Well, okay. It is slightly my fault. The roof on their little thing needs to be repaired.
Okay.
And I guess at some point the night before it concaved in a little bit. I'm sure the cats were up there trying to see what was up. And I don't know. They Houdini'd it, ninja'd it, and got in that quail coop and got a quail and got out. All the other quail are still in there.
Kevin's okay.
Kevin's missing an eyeball, but he's
fine.
He's been on his way out, I think. Like I said, they're old quail. But I wanted to kick those cats.
Yeah, wrong critter to go
wrong
after.
Critter, dude. So I picked her up. I held her. She's been in our bathroom.
Healing.
I put her back out there today. She's fine now. But those cats, there's feathers everywhere.
I do crack up when my cat, I let my chickens out every now and then, like in the backyard so they can like pick at grass and bugs, you know. And I always crack up when my cat goes to attack them. My cat is tiny, and these chickens are
Ashley
huge.
has a freakishly tiny cat.
She is very little.
She's teensy tiny.
Yeah.
She's like a little pixie cat.
Yeah. Anyway, when she goes after him, she goes after him like this, and then and they just
arms spread, arms wide open. Yeah, I have 2 mammoth cats. They're like part freaking bobcat. I feel like, but they're brother and sister, and they love to murder. Which is typically fine. Murder all the rats and stuff y'all want to.
Right. Go for the right animal.
Not my baby quail.
All right, anyways, what you got for us today?
Today is going to be, we've been kind of heavy on our caseload here lately. And me and Ashley were just talking about before we started recording how we might need to do a little bit of a palate cleanser on our next case. Maybe do a paranormal.
Yeah, do something other than murder.
Yeah. But this isn't too bad just because it happened so long ago. So I'm taking you back to the 40s. And I'm doing the Phantom Killer of Texarkana today. Okay, so here we go. My references are BuzzFeed Unsolved with Shane and Ryan. And if anybody knows, they know. I implore everybody that listens to this podcast to go check them out. They are freaking hilarious. They have a crime. It's called Unsolved, BuzzFeed Unsolved. And then they also have a paranormal channel as well. And it's both the same guys, but they are freaking hilarious. And on the paranormal one, they actually go to the haunted locations. And it's funny because Ryan is such a big wussy and is terrified. And
Same.
Shane is not. And he kind of tries to, rile up the spirits, I guess, but he talks crap. It's so funny. Anyways, y'all go check them out. They're funny. And then FBI Vault Records, called the Texarkana Phantom Moonlight Murders. So the FBI got involved in this case, and they actually released, I think back in 2016 or so, released all of their files on this case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool to go through. Wikipedia.com and Encyclopedia of Arkansas.net is where I got all of my stuff. So we are in Texarkana, and the year is 1946. Texarkana in the 40s had a bit of a bad reputation of being a pretty rowdy town, which it still kind of is. In World War II, the city went through a big transformation due to the economy becoming a major industrial and military center. With the construction of the Red River Army Depot and Lone Star Army Ammunition Plant in 1941 through 42, that brought thousands of workers and service members to the area. So Texarkana was also one of the major railroad centers of the Southwest in the late 40s, serving as a junction for 4 import systems with 8 outlets. So pretty huge railroad operation going on there. As with any booming city, young adults and teens had endless entertainment options. But as we all know, parking on a lover's lane and such was such a big deal in like the 40s and 50s. And on February 22nd in 1946, after attending a movie, 25-year-old Jamie Hollis and 19-year-old Mary, I think her last name's Laurie. I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Did just that. Parking on a secluded, unpaved lane near Richmond Road, the couple chatted and went parking, doing a little makeout. At around 11:45 p.m., though, a man wearing a white cloth mask, described as a pillowcase with holes for eyes, approached the car and blinded the couple with a flashlight. The couple realized that he was also pointing a pistol at them as well. Then the man said, quote, "I don't want to kill you, fella, so do what I say." I don't want to kill you, fella.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of. Stay calm, you see?
Stay calm, you see? Do what I say, you see? He ordered both of them out of the car, where he told Jimmy to remove his pants. While Jimmy is pulling off of his pants, the man strikes him twice in the head with a heavy object. It was either the butt of the gun or a pipe of some sort, fracturing Jimmy's skull in multiple places. The sound of this was so loud that Mary had initially thought that Jimmy had been shot with the pistol. God. So that is a loud crack. The assailant then turns to Mary and tells her to run. She doesn't think twice and just takes off running. Can you imagine being in that scenario, though, seeing a man crack your boy in the head and dropping him like a fly, and then him looking up at you and just say, run?
Yeah, scary.
Terrifying. So she takes off running. Like a sick game, though, this man chases Mary down and hits her in the head with the gun.
I knew it was coming. I knew he was
just wanted her
he was
to
hunting
run.
her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hits her in the head with the gun, knocking her to the ground. He then sexually assaults her with the barrel of the gun.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I had something on. I was watching something on TV today, and it's a show on Netflix called 48 Hours, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not the first 48. It's different, but it's 48 hours. Anyway, same thing. Like, what? Why? They assaulted her with an object after the fact.
Disgusting.
I don't understand that.
I don't get it either. Ugh. But we're not supposed to, because we're not sickos.
All right.
But yeah,
I won't get riled up anymore. I'm sorry.
No, you will. You will. It's okay.
Okay.
It's all right, though. That's what this is for. So anyways, yeah, does that. Shockingly, though, Jimmy had regained consciousness, and he begins trying to flag down a passing car. Seeing this, the attacker flees the scene.
Oh, my God. Okay.
So Jimmy's been cracked in the head so hard that he's fractured. Come to find out, his skull was fractured in multiple areas. And he regains consciousness and has the wherewithal to try and flag down somebody.
Oh, yeah.
So Mary gets up and she just runs to a nearby farmhouse to call for help. And Jimmy finally flagged down a passing motorist as well. Jimmy was hospitalized for several weeks with several skull fractures, and Mary received stitches for her head wounds. The couple gave conflicting descriptions, though, of the attacker. So police had a hard time even getting a solid picture of who they would even be looking for, especially with him wearing that mask, And I'm sure, these teens were just in complete shock whenever they get ambushed, and he blinded them with a flashlight. So their descriptions were pretty murky. So Texarkana, though, at this time was known for being pretty rowdy, like I had said, with the influx of people into the city. So unfortunately, the authorities seem to write this off as just kind of like a random attack. Almost a month later, on the morning of March 24th, around 9 a.m., a passing motorist discovered a 1941 Oldsmobile parked on a lover's lane, approximately 100 yards south of Highway 67 West. In that vehicle was deceased 29-year-old Richard Griffin and 17-year-old Polly Moore.
Wait,
now let's just go back. Yes.
Wait. Okay. All right.
Let's just go back. This was the 40s.
Okay.
And apparently a almost 30-year-old man dating a 17-year-old was
okay.
Acceptable nowadays. It's very alarming. But anyways, so yes, 17-year-old Polly Moore. Richard was between the front seats on his knees with his head resting on his hands. His pockets had been turned inside out, which law enforcement viewed as possibly maybe a robbery. Polly was found face down in the back seat. Both had been shot in the back of the head, execution style. There was also a blood-soaked blanket about 20 feet away from the Oldsmobile, and this indicated that Polly was shot and killed outside of the car on the blanket and then placed back into the car. She had also been sexually assaulted, and they think the same exact way that Mary was, which is sickening. But they still hadn't connected these two. Yeah, I know. It's the 40s. 40s.
Okay. All right. I said I wouldn't get riled up.
So investigators also found a .32 caliber cartridge casing at the scene. The couple had last been seen the night before on a date having dinner with Richard's sister at around 10. Richard was a World War II veteran who was working. Whoa. Sorry. My iPad spazzed out. Richard was a World War II veteran who worked as a carpenter and painter and had been dating Polly for around 6 weeks at this point. Polly was a high school student and also, I know. Polly was a high school student and also worked at the Red River Arsenal, and she lived with her cousin in Texarkana. Unfortunately, it had rained pretty hard that morning, and so a lot of the footprints or any tire tracks or anything like that got washed away. The crime scene was also very contaminated by curious onlookers before everything could be properly processed. And that was another thing like back then. Like people would just walk up on crime scenes and just take a gander. Like,
I'm just so frustrated.
I think that was a pretty common deal like back then. Like,
okay.
You would see like a crime scene and be like, oh, let's go take a look. See what's going on.
And over here, the dead body, you see?
Yeah, you see? Wow, look at that .32 caliber shell casing, you see? So yeah. Then on April 14th, almost another month has passed. At 6:30 a.m., the body of 16-year-old Paul Martin was found laying on his left side on the north edge of North Park Road. Paul's Ford coupe was found parked outside Spring Lake Park with the keys still in the ignition. According to witnesses, Paul, the previous night, had picked up his girlfriend, Betty Jo Booker. How cute is that name?
That is really cute.
Betty Booker. From a musical performance at the VFW club where she had been playing the saxophone for a band there. So nowadays, VFWs are pretty, But I think back then, VFWs were kind of more like, I think they were more, hey, I love a VFW. I still love a VFW.
I've never been to one.
Oh, girl.
I'm in for a time.
So the one in Athens in particular.
Okay.
If everybody listening. It's been years. But me and Drew, when we first started dating, we wound up at the Athens VFW and had the time of our lives.
Oh, that's cute.
It was fun. Anyways, but back then, I think VFW clubs were like kind of more. They had like a band and everything. Yeah. And Betty played the saxophone there. And so Paul had picked her up the night before. Around 4 hours after the discovery of Paul's body, a search party was formed because now they know that he had picked Betty up and now where is Betty? So a search party is formed to look for Betty, and about an hour into the search, the body of Betty was found. Her body was nearly 2 miles away from Paul's in a wooded area behind a tree. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Pretty significant distance there. She had also been sexually assaulted and her body was posed. And I don't think it was, so when I was reading the FBI files, it wasn't like posed sexually. He posed her in a way where she just looked like she was just kind of laying on the ground and he put her hands in her own pockets. Is that weird?
I can't.
It's almost weirder than the sexual posing.
This is wild already.
Yeah. So he had, I'm pretty sure it was either one or both of her hands like in her he dressed her again and just laid her there and posed one of her little hands in her pockets like she's just standing there.
Okay.
It's so weird. So weird to me. So anyways, yeah, her body had been posed. After the teens had been to the medical examiners, it was found out that Paul had been shot 4 times, once in the nose. Ouch. Just the way they worded it.
That hurts my face
I
to
know.
think about it.
Once in the ribs from the behind, once in the right hand, and then once in the back of the neck.
Wow.
Betty had been shot twice, once in the face and then once in the chest. Investigators find a .32 caliber shell casing at the scene, and they were matched to the ones also found at the scene of Richard and Polly. So this third attack got them like, okay, this is somebody doing here. This. Yeah. So the third attack ignited both the public sphere and law enforcement's that there was a serial killer in Texarkana.
Hey, quick question.
Yeah.
How far apart? Do you know how far apart the killings were?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
Continue.
Sorry, everybody. Texarkana is big too. And I probably should have researched that for y'all, but
okay.
I did not.
It's okay. Keep going.
Podville. Anyways, so due to the killer striking at night and the reporters from the reports of the first attack of him wearing a white mask, newspapers coined him the Phantom Killer. This news really prompted the residents of Texarkana to begin heavily arming themselves and staying indoors after sundown. A lot of the women and children had also started booking and staying at the local Hotel Grimm in downtown Texarkana when the husbands and fathers were away for like work and stuff, which that's what a name. Hotel Grimm.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go. There's a serial killer in town. Let's go stay at Hotel Grimm.
Yeah.
Eerie. Local law enforcement started receiving constant calls at night of people reporting prowlers and strange noises around their homes. On May 3rd, around 9 p.m., Virgil, 37, and Katie Starks, 36, were at their home on their 500-acre farm. Virgil was sitting in an armchair in his living room reading when suddenly through the closed window came 2 shots, hitting him in the back of the head, killing him instantly. Upon hearing the glass shattering, Katie rushed from the bedroom that she was in and found her husband slumped in his chair. Katie reaches for the wall-mounted crank phone.
Oh my gosh.
I know. How wholesome is that? Yeah. I mean, this moment isn't wholesome, but I mean,
yeah,
a crank phone. That's even before our time, Ashley.
Way before our
time. To call for help. And the killer again shot through the same window, hitting Katie twice in the face.
Oh my gosh.
Despite being shot through her right cheek and jaw, losing several teeth, and one of the bullets actually lodged under her tongue. It's the teeth. And Shane and Ryan, when they were doing this case, freaked out about that as well. So she has that. One's lodged under her tongue. She remains conscious. Katie then tries to get a pistol for defense, but there was too much blood flowing into her eyes and she was blinded by all of the blood going into her eyes. She couldn't even see straight. So then she hears the killer starting to try and enter the house through the back screened porch. So Katie runs out the front door in her nightgown and runs barefoot across the highway to a neighbor's house to call for help.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing she had enough wherewithal to do
Isn't
all that.
Insane?
Oh, I can just
like a freaking horror
feel
movie.
A mouthful of teeth and like that. Just
dude, you know that had to. Due to everyone being on high alert, obviously from these attacks, over 20 law enforcement officers swarmed the farmhouse. Investigators find a flashlight under the window where the shots were fired, but no fingerprints were found on that flashlight. And they also discovered that both Virgil and Katie were shot with a .22 caliber rifle. Now, let's talk about this one for a second. Even though this case was included in the Phantom Killer investigation, many officials did not think this was in relation to the other attacks. First, and these are some of the reasons. First, the Starks were not in the same age range as the other victims, both in their mid to late 30s. Second, this attack happened at the victims' homes rather than a Lover's Lane road, which the serial killer had been liking. And lastly, the weapon. And this was totally different. It was a totally different gun than the previous attacks. So there's that. But I think the reason why this was attributed to the Phantom Killer is just because the time frame was exact, almost like he liked to do it monthly, apparently. And I don't know if it was him, maybe it was just kind of opportunistic, or he had some sort of personal ties to the Starks that weren't known.
Interesting.
Anyways, so regardless, all of these attacks are still unsolved today, but there are several theories out there. So let's talk about suspects.
Wait, no.
Oh,
nobody was
never solved.
Charged.
Never solved. The FBI steps in. Never solved.
Wow.
Yeah. Texas Rangers and helped out with it as well. And they just never, I mean, that's the 40s for you. I feel like they didn't have that much. All they had was fingerprints and shell casings. And they didn't have any system for the fingerprints, you know. They didn't have like computers to compare.
Okay.
So let's talk about suspects. The primary suspect in this case is a 29-year-old man named Ewell Swinney. Around the same time as the attacks, a local state trooper named Max Tackett, I think, noticed that cars were being reported stolen and then later found abandoned whenever the killer would do an attack.
Good strike.
Mm-hmm. So Officer Tackett decides to stake out a local popular parking lot and observes another stolen car in the process of being abandoned. This led to the arrest of Peggy Sweeney. Peggy gave a detailed confession to police describing how she accompanied Ewell during the murders of Betty Booker and Paul Martin. She also stated how Ewell pulled off the other attacks as well. Descriptions of her own involvement, though, varied from statement to statement, obviously. Her stories would also change frequently. She would change details and, go into more detail and take details out every time she would make statements. But even though Peggy's statements would change in detail, she did give one that only someone at the scene would have known. In one of Peggy's confessions, she states that Ewell threw Paul Martin's date book into some bushes. And the only person that even knew that was a sheriff that actually found Paul's date book in the bushes.
Interesting. Okay.
So there is that. Ewell Swinney was arrested at the Arkansas Motor Coach bus station as he arrived back from Atlanta, where he had been attempting to sell a stolen car. Ewell refused to speak to police, and unfortunately, since Peggy and Ewell had recently been married, and by recently married, I mean a few hours before Peggy was arrested, they eloped and got married.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
Okay.
She could not be forced to testify against her own husband. So, more so, Ewell was taken to Little Rock, Arkansas to get a truth serum shot. But he was given too much and passed out from the injection.
Okay. All right.
So there's that.
Is that even legal? Can you legal? I mean,
I think
is that a legal
so.
tactic?
I'm not sure if they still use that nowadays, but it's like it's a
not.
cocktail. And I think basically it gives kind of the effect of being real loopy. I forgot what the medications exactly are. I'm sorry. I should have put that in there because I did look it up.
It's fine.
It's a legit thing that people, I'm pretty sure, still use.
Really?
But it just gets people talking.
Yeah.
I don't think I almost kind of think, though, like this truth serum injection is like on the same wavelength as, what are they called? Lie detector tests. I don't think it's like anything they say. Surely not.
All right. So they put him to sleep.
I feel like that statement would be made under duress if you've been given a, anyway. So that dude just passes out from the too much or whatever. Overall, though, Peggy was sent to jail for the association of the car theft and later got out. And Ewell was sentenced to life in prison for, quote, being a habitual criminal. That was his charge. He was released, though, on parole in 1973 and died in 1994 in a nursing home in Dallas. So there's that. That's that suspect.
But the killings stopped after he went to jail?
So after, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just making a note.
They stopped.
Okay.
There is another suspect. His name is H.B. Duty Tennyson.
I'm sorry. I'm so immature.
Duty is a nickname, but I had to include it.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm a 7-year-old child.
Who would nickname this boy Duty? Anyways, an 18-year-old university student. He commits suicide in 1948 and leaves a note confessing to the killings. So this note says, quote, "Why did I take my own life? Well, when you commit 2 double murders, you would too. Yes, I did kill Betty Jo Booker and Paul Martin in the city park that night and killed Mr. Stark and tried to get Mrs. Stark." End quote.
I'm not buying that one.
So interestingly enough, Duty there, his cousin is Dr. John Tennyson, a forensic psychiatrist. Dr. Tennyson stated that Duty had connections to all of the victims. He was an usher at the local movie theater where a lot of the victims had been to see a movie before they were killed. He also he was also in that same band that Betty Jo Booker was in, that she played the saxophone in. And he also had a friend that lived with Katie Stark's younger sister.
Okay.
So there's that.
All right.
There were some reports though in the suicide note that the suicide note was faked.
Yeah, I'm not buying this theory.
Yeah. I couldn't find too much though about the suicide note, but I did see several areas where people thought that he faked, or that somehow that was faked, that suicide note.
He didn't give any details.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
So
Pretty weird.
that's weird.
Yeah. So in those are our 2 suspects, but I wanted to end with this. In 1976, a horror film was released called The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which pretty famous movie. I've seen it a long time ago.
I have not.
It is a semi-documentary about the Phantom Killer. And in 2003, starting in 2003, every October, an annual screening of the movie has been hosted at the Spring Lake Park in Texarkana. And this year, in 2026, a special anniversary event is scheduled for March 15th, featuring a walking tour of filming locations and a guest appearance of Andy Abel, who played the Phantom in the 2014 meta sequel. So there you go.
I don't think I like that. I don't think I do. Like, we're not going on a Ted Bundy tour.
No.
You know what I mean?
I think these are just filming locations, like from the movie.
I know, but I don't like it.
I know.
I don't like that we're idolizing this guy.
No, yeah.
So, I mean, it's one
Pretty
thing,
wild.
like, in Florida, Jacob's cousins always tell us, like, they do a showing of Jaws where, like, out on the beach.
Oh,
you can float in floaties and
Yes.
watch Jaws, you know? And
That's terrifying. I would
that is
never do that.
terrifying,
I would
but
never do that.
I think it's for a charity or something.
Because fun fact, I'm terrified of the deep sea, and I'm also terrified of space. And last night we had a family night at my daughter's school, and their theme was space. And I'm fine. But when you start really trying to talk to me about details of space,
No, I don't want to think
I
about it.
low key have a panic attack.
Yeah.
And so my daughter's in line, and like one of the little things there is she had to answer some questions about space. And I was just like, how many miles are we from the sun? Da, 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 da. And I was just like, no.
Mom will be right back.
Yeah, I wanted to leave right then. So
I didn't think I had a fear of the deep ocean until I started thinking about it too much.
I just fear big things in the ocean, I think.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the deep ocean. I just fear
What's lurking beneath?
big. I'm sweating. My palms are sweating right now. Oh. But anyways, that's that on the Phantom Killer.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure this was a short one.
It really was. I think
And you're welcome.
Our corners were longer than
Yeah.
our files
Our
were
banter
longer.
in the beginning.
Yeah, it was longer than your tail. Well, thank you, Megan, for
Yeah,
that
you're
really
welcome.
upsetting case.
Yeah. The
So,
Phantom Killer. Don't
it's
go
awful.
parking,
Don't go
kids.
parking. We have a lover's lane, I think, between Bullard
Is that
and
still a
Jacksonville.
thing?
Yeah, I think so. Well, that's what they call it. Yeah. Oh, Lover's Lookout. That's what it's called.
Lovers Lookout.
Yeah, it's between Bullard and Jacksonville off of Highway 69. I think it's like up on a little mountain or something.
Yeah. Well,
Mountain.
when I
hill.
was in high school, we had a lover's lane back road thing that people would go park down. But I never went down it because I was raised with my older cousins, and they're all boys. And one of my cousins was like, do not ever, he terrified me. He was like, do not ever go down that road. That's where they go to be mean to girls and stuff.
Oh.
And so anytime I would hear that, like my friends saying that they went down there, I was like, oh my God, and y'all are okay. I was pretty naive. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, like, subscribe, and share on all of our socials.
And rate and review.
Rate and review.
Mm-hmm. And
come back next week for whatever mystery case I'm going to do because I haven't picked one yet.
She hasn't picked one, but
it's crunch time.
Yeah. It's crunch time. And hopefully her half demon will be out of her eyeball.
Yeah, I'm sure you can see it.
I don't know if they can. We don't have that
probably.
great of a quality of a camera. So
Well,
maybe it's hiding it. Anyways, rate and review. Yes. If you have a tale or a recommendation, email us at inlawsincrime@gmail.com. And keep your roots deep.
and your head on a swivel.
Bye.